So today the topic we wanted to talk about is brass versus bronze, and I just have it right here next to me. So it's brass versus bronze. Why did we want to take up this topic? Few reasons. One is when we had asked for asked our followers, what do you want to know from Zishta in the month of January? The most important topic that came was brass and bronze. It seems that there is a lot of interest now to move towards brass, to move towards bronze in our cooking, in our kitchen, in our cookware. I guess that's probably was a trigger to ask the question saying brass versus bronze. One of the topics that we've always had queries coming in saying what is brass, what is bronze, because it looks very similar, and that's why I picked it up. So it's hard to differentiate which is a brass and which is a bronze when you actually look at it together. And so, and there are a lot of information today available across everybody. There is a lot of information available on Google. There are a lot of information which is like any other topic. There is quite a few information being shared across. Hi to everyone who is joining. And so hence we said, okay, let's prioritize on this particular topic. We're going to keep it very short. I'm trying to close it in 10 to 15 minutes, not a long discussion. So we'll close it very fast. Okay. So let's start with the metal itself, and I love doing this every time. I love to start with the composition of the metal. So let's start with copper. Okay, this is copper. One metal you can always differentiate because of its color. So this is copper. The reason I took copper is bronze and brass are alloys of copper. So brass is an alloy of copper and zinc. Bronze is an alloy of copper and tin. And that's the most important difference, because everything else that you're going to talk about in terms of what to cook, what not to cook, how to use, how not to use, is based on this particular composition of the alloy. Okay. So brass, as I said, is a composition of copper and zinc. Usually, roughly in India, it's roughly 75 to 79% copper, and the remaining is zinc. So that's the composition. When it comes to bronze, usually the composition of copper is 75 to 85%. It varies, and then the rest is tin that is added into bronze. There is also a variation of bronze where there is 3 to 4% of zinc which is added, which is also called as red brass in the US, but that's one of the variations of bronze. Basically, that's one of the variations of bronze. Even if you look at Kansa, Orissa, the eastern part of the country, where Kansa is a very famous metal, it's also bronze. What is the difference between the Kansa of eastern part of the country and the bronze of the southern part of the country? In Kansa, the quantity of tin is very high. So it's called high tin bronze, and which is why, I'll show it later on as we discuss, which is exactly why people do not cook much in Kansa, the eastern part of Kansa, because the tin content is higher, and it is usually used for serving food and for having food. The Kansa plates, the thalis, the glasses, the katoris, they're quite famous in the eastern part of our country. So now that's the composition difference. Let's understand what this makes in terms of cooking. So most of us have our brass and bronze vessels. Either we have stored it on the attic, like we had messaged in the morning, or many of us use it as planters, and that was one of the things that triggered this conversation. And so because bronze is an alloy of copper and tin, anything can be cooked in bronze. So you can directly start cooking in bronze. When I say anything, is there any restriction? Yes, there is a restriction. If we are doing citric based food, for example, tamarind based food, or food that is very high in terms of tomato, then you will have to do a kalai inside the bronze. What is a kalai? Kalai is nothing but the tin. Many of the southern part of the country people will know it as iyachumbu, which is also a vessel which is used for making rasam. That's the tin. So what is a kalai? There is a tin which is applied inside the bronze vessel in order to protect it. So protect it from what? Why do we need to do tinning in bronze? We need to do tinning in bronze because because if you're cooking citric based food, the pH level of the citric based food, for example, tamarind is somewhere around 2 to 3 pH level, tomatoes is around 3 to 4 pH level. So the acidity of that particular food will react with copper. So now what happens if it reacts with copper? There will be excess copper that will leach into your food. So what does that mean? So excess copper leaching into your food means that when you consume food, there will be excess copper into our system. That's the exact reason why we say that when you make citric based food, when you cook citric based food in bronze, ensure that there is a kalai which is done in the inside. The tin protects the bronze vessel from reacting with the citric based food. So that is the basic composition. That's the basic, how do I say, the base that we all should understand. That's the information we all should understand. And let's go to brass, okay, before I move to a little more about bronze. So this is brass. Now if you look at brass, I have only one variation where there is a tin inside. Why do we do that? Because brass is an alloy of copper and zinc. Okay, so anything that you cook in brass will leach copper, especially acidic for sure. But anything you cook in brass, the best thing to do is actually to ensure that there is a kalai or there is a tinning inside. There was a research which was done where milk was boiled in in brass vessel with tin and without tin, and milk was left for 6 hours. After 6 hours, the vessel with tin, what was observed was that the copper leaching was almost negligible, whereas the vessel where the milk was boiled with tin, without tin, the copper leaching was in a higher level. Okay, so that is the basic reason why the entire discussion that happens everywhere saying, do we need kalai, don't we need kalai, what can we cook, what can't we cook, that's the basic for what can be done and what cannot be done. So this is something we wanted to actually ensure that we communicate today to all of you so that you can have an informed decision. Just to repeat, anything can be cooked in bronze. Ensure that if you're cooking citric based food, there is a kalai in it. It protects copper from leaching. And same thing in brass. For cooking anything in brass, you need to ensure you have kalai. Now let's come back to the topic in terms of what happens if copper leaches. What happens if you actually cook a sambar, for example, one of the heavy tamarind based food in southern part of the country. So what if you cook in bronze sambar which is not kalai, there's no kalai applied in it? Yes, copper would have leached. Would it cause, the same day, would it cause food poisoning? Would it cause health hazards? Will there be a lot of issues? Absolutely no. Once in a while, making some of these things is not going to suddenly create some great transformation within our system. Continuously doing it over a period of time will ensure that there is excess copper in our system, which will lead to other issues. For example, the body will not be able to absorb iron. So there will be other issues that will happen when there is excess copper into the system. Okay. So now let's go through some of the do's and don'ts. So there is a question saying milk, can we boil milk in brass and bronze? You can boil milk in brass if there is kalai in it. You can boil milk in bronze without kalai in it. That is not a problem. Okay. So there's a question on what are the benefits. So there are numerous benefits of cooking in brass and bronze. So number one is both these metals have antimicrobial properties. And the reason for that is because copper is a metal which is added into brass and bronze. So that's very clear. Copper is antimicrobial. Because these are alloy of copper, these are antimicrobial. Okay. Brass retains 93% of the nutrients of the food we cook in it. So, many people today are looking at healthy options. You're growing your own food. You're looking for organic options. When you cook in brass, 93% of whatever nutrients that you cook is retained. In brass, it is estimated to be in bronze, it is estimated to be 97 to 98% of the nutrients are retained in bronze. So that's the second reason. The third one is, because it retains heat, what happens is it cooks evenly, it cooks faster, and the food remains warm for quite some time. Okay, there are questions coming in. Yes, the video is being recorded. I'm assuming it's getting recorded on Instagram, and after the live, we'll post it on the Instagram. Coming back, I was saying that, okay, yeah, it retains heat. So when you cook in bronze, good old days, when I speak to my mother or people who have come from the villages talk about it, they say that they cook in the morning around 9:30, 10, and when their children come from school around 12:30, 1, the food is warm in bronze. So that's the memory that they share with us. We've also experienced it. Whatever you cook in bronze, you keep in bronze, it keeps the food warm for 2 to 3 hours. That's the property of it. The fourth one is in terms of our own health system, what else is it healthy for? They are known to actually aid in digestive system, in immunity system. They are also known for their anti-inflammatory properties, both brass and bronze. Okay, is that all? Brass is an alloy of copper and zinc. Zinc has antioxidant properties. So what it does is it keeps the ingredients fresh. It keeps the whatever we store in brass, it keeps the freshness of it for a longer time. So that's the important part of it. It's confusing. You say bronze, then immediately correct yourself and say brass. I'm so sorry, because bronze, brass keep coming back and forth again and again. I will definitely do a written post around it. So that's the benefit of both brass and bronze. Because of copper content, its antimicrobial properties are high. It retains more than 90% of the nutrients of the food you cook in it. Both of them are good for your digestive system. They have good immunity. They improve immunity, anti-inflammatory properties. They keep the food warm. So those are the benefits of cooking in it. So now the next question is, how difficult is it to maintain? It's not difficult to maintain. When you say maintain, the first question is, do you need to season any of this? You don't need to season any of this. The second one, which would come as part of maintaining, is how do you wash it? Yeah, you can just put it in the sink, wash it normally, like you wash any other vessel, you just wash it normally. There is no other specific maintenance instruction. The third thing is, will it lose color? Will it oxidize? Will the shine go away and will it get a little darker? Yes, it does. It is a natural property for them to oxidize. That's very natural. The shine will go away. You can see the shine here now. This shine will not remain over a period of time. So what should you do? Is it harmful? It is not harmful. If you're a person who's okay with shine not being there and you want to continue to use it, please go ahead. If you're a person who wants the shine back because you like to have better look of the product that you have, then wash it with tamarind or lemon. Any of the acidic food will help. Any of the acidic items will help in bringing the shine back. So that is in terms of maintenance of the vessel. The question comes back in terms of, can we boil milk? Yes, you can boil milk. Is it dishwasher safe? Yes, it is dishwasher safe. Can curd be cooked in it? Curd relevant food, can it be cooked in it? You can, if you're taking, for example, 1 spoon of curd and you're cooking in it, it's absolutely okay. If it's heavy on curd, then do not cook in these vessels if it's not tin coated. If it is tin coated, yes, you can do any of this. When any of the vessel which is tin coated, there are no restrictions at all. The questions that keep coming up is, okay, how often should you do the tin coating? And is there a way that you can do tin coating today, because we all live in cities? Yes, tin coating will last for anywhere between 3 to 4 years, and you will have to do the you will have to retin it. Retinning, still there are many shops who do it in the older part of the cities. From our end, we have to find out in various cities. Probably we'll create a database that over a period of time. But as of now, yes, retinning needs to be done, and that is anywhere between 3 to 4 or 3 to 5 years depending on your usage. Now, aluminium vessel, I'm sure you can look at it. There is a question on aluminium. You can always look up all the research documents. There is enough research to say that aluminium is not good for multiple reasons for health. There are enough medical documents that are available. You can check on that. So that's all about the brass and bronze. I'm just going to look at the questions that have come up. And can we cook sabji in your bronze? Yes, you can cook sabji. You can cook any of that. Is bronze the same as bell metal or kansa? See, bronze, bell metal, kansa, there is a minor variation in terms of the composition of copper and tin. So in kansa, the tin is much higher versus the bronze, that is, as I said, versus a bell metal or a bronze that is used in the southern part of the country. Yes, it is dishwasher safe. Does tin coating react with food harmfully? Absolutely no. As I was mentioning in the beginning, tin is a vessel on its own. Tin is a metal on its own, which is predominantly used in the southern part of the country to make rasam. So tin is not harmful. In fact, tin prevents copper from leaching into the food. Brass, I'm just going to look at only those questions which is related to brass and bronze. One second. Okay, somebody said you didn't know that bronze can be used for cooking. It's one of the most ancient vessels which you can use for cooking. And yeah, okay. I think I have lead content. Yes, there is also a possibility of lead content in the tinning. One needs to ensure that the tinning that is done is pure tin and there is no mixture of lead into it. Also, I have bought the bronze vessel without coating from you. I'm very happy with it. Thank you so much. And masala dabbas, there is not a tin coating in masala dabba. You do not need tin coating. You will need tin coating in the masala dabbas if you are storing dhania powders, acidic powders, right? Like dhania powder, jeera powder, salt. If you're going to store any of that in the brass masala dabba, then you need tin coating. If you're just going to store dhania seeds, jeera seeds, then you do not need tin coating in brass masala dabbas. Sweets, can we cook sweets in brass or bronze? Absolutely yes. In fact, bronze is supposed to be one of the oldest metal used for making sweets, kheer, payasam, name it, and it's one of the oldest and one of the best metals to cook any sweets in it. Tin coating is easier in India. I agree. I mean, I agree and disagree also, because tin coating is also becoming difficult in India. There was a question today saying we are not able to find somebody in Delhi. So yes, if you're outside India, then as of now we don't have a solution, unfortunately. Right now, as I'm speaking to you, we don't have a solution for retinning. Okay, the questions are coming up super fast. Is it okay to cook with tomatoes? Yeah, you can cook tomatoes if you're adding little bit of tomatoes into the food. But if you're making a very tomato rich curry, tomato rich gravy, then ensure that there is a tinning in it. So let me rephrase. You can cook anything in bronze or brass if there is tinning inside it. This is bronze, this is brass. If there is tinning inside it, you can cook anything. There are no restrictions. In bronze, if you are not cooking citric based food, for normal kheer, boiling milk, for making rice, for making your sabjis, in bronze you can make it without tinning in it. Okay, somebody says tin coating can be done in Avenue Road in Bangalore. Thank you so much for the information. Brass or bronze, which is an all-rounder? Okay, that depends on what you're comfortable with using. Personally, I would love to cook in bronze. That's my personal favorite, because even if the tinning goes off, you can still make everything else except for say tamarind or heavy citric based food. You can cook anything even if the tinning goes away. So you can still continue to use it if you do not want to retin it. So that's about it. Thank you so much for joining. There are questions on clay and bronze and brass, etc. I'm just going to say one sentence. I'm going to end it with that. If you want the vessels which are earthen materials, like a soapstone or a Manipuri clay pottery or a clay pots, anything that is stone or clay, have no restrictions. They are the ones where you can cook anything and everything without any restrictions. When it comes to making citric, non-citric, sweets, it doesn't matter. When it comes to metals, in any metal there are restrictions that you need to be aware of. So okay, I hope I have not left anything. Tomato gravy can be cooked in bronze without tin. Please do not do that. That's what I was saying, that if you're making tomato heavy food, please ensure that there is tinning in it. You do not want copper to leach. And if you have made it, okay, if it's a once in a while you've by mistake done it, not a problem. Immediately transfer it to another vessel. Do not keep doing it repeatedly. That is what is important for us to know. Okay, so that's about it. Questions on cast iron and other things, we will take it later on. Thank you so much for joining. As I said, we wanted to keep it very short and ensure that all your queries are answered. In case there are any queries on brass and bronze which I have not answered here, or have confused because of too many times using brass, bronze, interchangeably, if I've confused you, please write to us. I'll clarify it after this live. I'll clarify it there. Thank you so much for your time.